Greetings once again, mages. Duuz-Diz-Din, back again with more Fairy Tale the 100 Years quest. Previously, Irene came to Celine with an unfathomable quest to make it so that Celine would live to see the dawn of a new era. Irene took Celine's injuries from Ignia onto herself, essentially giving Irene a secondary death. But in order to make sure that Wendy would not be harmed, Irene had Celine send her to a world without magic, none other than Edoleth, where interestingly enough she was reborn as the child of Ezra Nightwalker and Mystigan, hopefully to live out a better life than she had before. And thus Celine has been saved. And while I am sad that Urza never got to know that her mother had actually decided to help her in the end, maybe it's for the best, who knows. But what will happen now that Celine is no longer in danger? Will Elfinsera and her bury the hatchet? And what of the remaining dragon gods? Join me as I find out. Won't you? Fairy Tale, 100 Years Quest, Chapter 122, Apology. And you got Celine hanging out with a bottle of sake underneath the moonlight, gorgeously under the evening moon. Oh yes, yes indeed. And so a new day is dawning. See, this is kind of what I was expecting. It still feels weird that Wendy wasn't even aware of what was going on. With all the time she spent with Irene, I don't know, I just felt like there should have been some kind of send-off. You see Wendy sitting on a hillside, a faint smile on her face, a somber one. Urza approaches from behind her and says, "You're up very early." Naturally, this startles Wendy as she calls to Ezra. Urza questions, "Did you have trouble sleeping in a different bed?" Wendy nervously says, "No, it's just, well," Urza questions, "What's wrong? Is there something troubling you?" Wendy pauses for a moment and then asks Urza, "It's about Irene, son. Do you ever think about her?" Urza is taken off guard and says, "What? Where did that come from?" Urza thinks to herself and then says solemnly, "She was a sad person. To tell you the truth, not a day goes by when I don't think of her." Wendy listens intently as Urza says, "The master is the only one who I could call a parent. That will never change. But ever since the day I met that woman who called herself my mother, I always imagined the future I could have built with her," he says with a slight smile. "I know it's wrong to think that." Wendy says, "There's nothing wrong about it. I don't even know my own parents, and they're from hundreds of years ago, but if they ever appeared before me, then I'd..." But Urza interrupts, anger filling her eyes, saying, "But she was a scoundrel." This takes Wendy off guard. Yeah, it makes sense. Urza continues saying, "She came to bring harm upon our guild. She is an enemy I cannot forgive." Naturally, Wendy's a little nervous about this, but Urza says, with a mixture of emotions on her face, saying, "And yet, the face she showed in the end was so tender and kind." Wendy smiles, a solemn smile, and she tells Urza, "I'm sure she's always watching over you somewhere, Urza." Urza tells her, "No, I don't need her to." Wendy says, "Huh?" Confused. As Urza pounds on her chest, she says, "Because she's all here in my heart." Wendy beams with a smile as Urza continues saying, looking to the sky, "She may have been an enemy and a miserable person, but she was my mother. I won't forget her for that." Wendy thinks to herself, "Even so, Irene, I'm grateful for all you've done for me." Okay. Not quite what I wanted, but it's good enough. It'll do. We cut back to the Diablos Guild with Natsu saying, "Hey, quit fighting." What? Oh, it's Laxus and Kieran going at it again. Laxus says, "Shut it, Natsu. This guy's a piece of crap who can't admit he lost." Kieran says, "That's 'cause I didn't lose. I was only using 10% of my power." Laxus responds, and I was only using 5%. Kieran says, Then I was using 1/10. And Happy responds, "That's still 10%. These two essentially turned into Natsu and Gray on most days. Natsu says, "That's why I'm telling you to quit it." Lucy says with a bugged out look on her face, "Natsu of all people trying to stop a fight?" But then Natsu says, "'Cause if you don't, then I'm gonna join in." He's ready to throw down. Lucy sighs, saying, "Why'd I think any different?" Gray questions, "The hell is that Natsu doing?" Carla then speaks up, saying, "Shouldn't we be more concerned about that fight?" As she motions over to Celine and Elfinsera as they stare each other down at a table. tension obviously in the air, but Happy says, it's fine, they're not gonna duke it out. Carla says, I certainly hope not. Alpha Sarah says with a stern face, so the moon dragon god Celine won't be killing any more people. Celine says with a wry smile, as long as they bring no harm to me. Alpha Sarah questions, you'd kill those who would bring you harm? Celine responds, of course, I only wish to defend myself. She then turns to Masaki and says, did I say anything wrong? Masaki says, no. You have the right to do that. What an interesting... It's like her relationship with Diablos has really gotten... It's fascinating to me. I'm sorry. It really does come off like she's always been in charge here. Alpha Sarah says people kill each other easily. Celine once again turns to Masaki and says, is that true? Masaki says, well, they would have their reasons. Celine says to Alpha Sarah, then I'll do what I can, with an interestingly stern face. Alpha Sarah is obviously not quite pleased with the situation, but it's kind of obvious he's just gonna let it go. It's just like, good enough. Celine then asks him, anything else? Alpha Sarah asks, tell me where to find Vernus and Ignia. Celine says, I don't know. Anything else? Alpha Sarah just starts to get angry as he shouts, apologize for all the humans you've killed until now. Among them were my friends, my precious comrades. But Celine, she gives him a bit of a cold look and says nothing. Lucy, Gajeel, and Gray look at him, a bit perplexed. And Alpha Sarah's crow companion, whose name I continue not to remember, calls out to him. But Alpha Sarah, he grits his teeth and slams his hands on the table, saying, I understand, damn it. There's no sense in doing something like that. Yes, Celine did what she had to do to survive, just as we kill animals to survive. I understand that. Celine looks away, and as tears stream from Alpha Sarah's eyes, he says, but I cannot forget the faces of my friends the dragons killed. I know we were in the wrong, but I cannot simply forget. Celine gets up, and Masaki calls out to her, and Celine says, I will apologize. But Alpha Sarah says, don't. I'm miserable enough as it is. If you apologize, then... But Celine simply says, my bad. You know what? You had me for a second there. I thought it was about to be a genuine apology, but it's just like, you know what? That would have felt weird. That would have felt weird. This feels right. Because it's just like, how is she supposed to take that? How would she even go about apologizing for that? It's just like, I don't know those people. And I don't feel bad for killing them. They stepped to me and I stepped on them. That's just the vibe she gives off. Even Alpha Sarah is, of course, just completely caught off guard by that. And Gray, Lucy, and Gajeel just think to themselves, so casual. Alpha Sarah at first looks as though he's angry, but then he slowly starts to laugh, and just laughs and laughs and laughs, taking Celine off guard. Celine turns to Masaki and says, was there something wrong with my apology? Masaki says nothing. Alpha Sarah calls out to Celine and he takes off his hat, and he gives a bow, saying, please allow me to apologize as well. We humans have unreasonably stolen the lives of dragons. In that sense, we are both the same. I'm truly sorry. Everyone in the guilds seems to be happy that things turned out so peacefully. And Natsu says, I guess that means the third dragon god is sealed. Sealed. Celine questions, I thought we went over this in the bath. She once again turns to Masaki and says, am I wrong? Masaki says, no, I'm certain that you did. Humans and dragons are the same. Celine says, so we are. Getting along from now on may not be impossible, but it will require speaking with respect to each other's existence. Alpha Sarah responds, agreed. But Vernus and Ignia both remain threat, and not because they are dragons. It is because their power is enough to destroy humankind. Celine says, so Alpha Sarah, about the human world's strongest weapon that can pierce even the dragon god. Where is Athena, the Greek goddess Athena? Lucy questions, Athena? Gray says, is that the weapon recorded in the old man's heart? Happy says, what a cute name. Lucy says, Wendy says, it sounds like a girl's name. Alpha Sarah explains, it's a weapon created by my late apprentice. I wonder who his apprentice was. Even I don't know where it is. Celine solemnly says, I see. Gajeel questions, So this means that even this Athena can beat a dragon god? Panther Lily questions. Seems like it. Well, seems like it. Can humans even make such a weapon? Alpha Sarah asks Celine. Celine, where did you get that information? Celine responds, I've been to all kinds of worlds, even worlds that are similar to this one. Uh-oh, even more parallel worlds. Alpha Sarah shocks, saying, there's an Athena in other worlds? Celine says, no. Athena was lost in every one of them, all except in this world. Ooh. If you've been reading Eden Zero, feel free to check out my reactions to that. That's actually a very similar thing going on in Eden Zero. Alternate worlds where only one has something specific. Alpha Sarah stands and says, that is a negative remnant of humankind. But Natsu says, who cares about that stuff? We just gotta give this dragon a beatdown. But Celine says no. The gold dragon god Vernus cannot be beaten down. What? Says Vernus is a concept, a dragon who exists, yet also does not? What? What does that even mean? Exists and also does not. A concept? A concept? What? Okay, first, I love the discussion between Wendy and Urza. I think that's the way it should have gone down. Yeah, I will still say, I feel like I wish at least Wendy had said goodbye to Celine. I'm kind of fine with that still being her own personal thing, you know, but with everything they've been through together, some kind of send-off would have still been appreciated. But with Urza, I think that was the way to go about it. The discussion between Celine and Alpha Sarah that finally kind of buries the hatchet between them, okay, pretty good. I still feel like Diablos accepted Celine a little too easily, but I still just kind of love her being in charge of Diablos, so yeah, get a pass on this, Mashima, but it's still gonna be that thing that just is a little stuck in my craw. But Vernus is a concept. That's a hard one to... Like, is Vernus an existence that is destined to be created? How can you be a concept? Because Alpha Sarah is aware of all the dragon gods, right? So how is a gold dragon... I mean, I initially thought he was the one running Gold Owl. Is it possible, since Gold Owl is an alchemist guild, whatever they use to bring back God Serena, will they try to create, through alchemy, the gold dragon god Vernus? Is that what it's like? Because that's the only thing I could think of. Like, maybe Vernus is a type of homunculi. Maybe. That's the only thing I could think of that would kind of explain that. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts and theories in the comment section below. How can Vernus be a concept? How did you feel about Wendy and Urza's little heart-to-heart? And were you satisfied with the way that Alpha Sarah and Celine came to terms with each other's existence and their respective apologies? I want to hear from you. But also remember to like, subscribe, bell, all that good YouTube stuff, or don't. Ain't daddy, but I still love you like one. And until next time, I'm Duuz-Diz-Din, and I hope to see you in the next video. Till then, bye-bye.